Yes, Ukraine still needs the ability to use ATACMS on Russian territory. Hundreds of known Russian military and paramilitary objects in Russia are undergirding Russia's war effort and are in range of Ukrainian ATACMS. Hi, I'm George Barros, Russia team lead here at ISW, and today I'm discussing our assessment of the extent to which U.S. restrictions on Ukraine's use of ATACMS constrain Ukraine's ability to strike important military infrastructure in Russia. But before I dive into that, I'd like to let you know that ISW recently created a specialized interactive map tool that visualizes the extent to which U.S. policy is protecting a vast number of publicly known military objects in Russia's rear, and how these legacy installations protected by U.S. policy are supporting Russia's war effort. This tool allows the user to explore over 200 Russian military and paramilitary objects, and clicking on pins on this map allows the user to learn more details about that object. A link to this tool can be found in the description below. Anonymous senior U.S. officials have suggested that the redeployment of Russian combat aircraft from airfields in Russia within ATACMS range and the low number of ATACMS that the United States has provided Ukraine somehow reduces the validity or the importance of the Ukrainian request to use U.S.-provided weapons in Russia. Politico reported on August 23 that an unnamed senior Biden administration national security official stated that Russian forces have moved some objects out of the range of Western-provided Storm Shadows and ATACMS. An unnamed administration official also reportedly stated that Russian forces have moved 90% of the aircraft that conduct glide bomb strikes from Russian airspace away from Russian airfields within the range of Storm Shadows and ATACMS missiles. 16 Russian air bases are located in range of Ukrainian ATACMS in Russia, and ISW has observed confirmation of redeployments of Russian aircraft from these bases out of the range of Western-provided long-range weapons. That said, the redeployment of Russian aircraft from 16 air bases in range of ATACMS does not reduce the importance of allowing Ukraine to use ATACMS against hundreds of other Russian military objects, nor does the reportedly small number of ATACMS that the U.S. has provided. U.S. policy continues to restrict Ukraine from using ATACMS to strike no fewer than 245 known Russian military and paramilitary objects, of which only 16, or 6.5%, are air bases. That is, over 85% of known Russian military objects in the range of ATACMS are not air bases. These objects include ammunition and fuel depots, command and control points, communications arrays, logistics nodes, and vehicle repair and reconstitution shops. Ukrainian forces are using indigenous long-range strike systems to hit some of these targets, but they do not appear to have many such systems. So the relatively small number of ATACMS that Ukraine has reportedly received could make a significant difference. The argument that the limited redeployments of Russian aircraft from 16 airfields makes the discussion of lifting U.S. restrictions on the use of ATACMS somehow moot ignores the hundreds of known Russian facilities that ISW has laid out. It's extremely unlikely that the Russian military has redeployed assets from the over 200 objects to the same degree that it's done with a little over a dozen airfields. ISW has not observed evidence of the redeployments of military assets from the majority of Russia's rear areas, and the mass redeployment of assets away from such facilities would present significant challenges to Russian logistics throughout the theater. And neither open sources nor U.S. officials have indicated that Russian forces have engaged in such logistical upheavals. For example, the Associated Press quoted a Ukrainian artillery commander in June 2024 who stated that Ukrainian forces could strike Russian brigade command points at scale if the United States provided Ukraine the use of ATACMS to strike Russian territory, but that Ukrainian forces currently cannot because the Russians redeployed such command and control elements into an area 100 to 150 kilometers away from the front line, territory outside of the range of HIMARS, but within the range of ATACMS. Any assessment that rejects allowing Ukraine to strike legitimate military objects in Russia on the exclusive basis of air asset redeployments is incomplete because it fails to account for the hundreds of other objects supporting Russia's war against Ukraine and would thus be incorrect. ISW is not assessing that the redeployment of Russian air assets is the only reason for the continuation of the U.S. ban for the use of ATACMS against legitimate military objects in Russia, as we are not privy to U.S. decision-making. Our reporting is intended to respond to what appears to be an attempt to dismiss the value and importance of reevaluating these restrictions based on a partial presentation of the situation. ISW will continue following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and U.S. policies that continue to restrict Ukraine's abilities to defend itself properly. Please remember to keep following the Institute for more updates, and thank you.